So, why isn't there a cure for tinnitus? It's 2025, we have super fast computers, we have innovations all over the place, we can fly to the moon, so how can it be so difficult to find a cure for tinnitus? My name is Per Moneo. I'm a sound engineer, composer, musician and sound artist that are navigating my life with tinnitus and hearing loss. I'm running this channel together with my wife and business partner Irene, who also has tinnitus. And in this channel we are going to talk about how to deal with tinnitus and hearing loss from a sound engineer, musician and sound artist perspectives. And if that sounds like something for you, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell, and let's get started. So why aren't there a cure for tinnitus? I believe it has to do with a couple of things. And there is actually one reason to why we don't have a cure for tinnitus. Or at least the biggest reason. And that is because researchers don't actually know what causes tinnitus. I mean, the researchers are not totally clueless. They have a pretty good idea what's going on, but there needs more research to exactly pinpoint the reason why we're hearing tinnitus. As far as I know, there are two big theories on what's going on with tinnitus and what's causing it. And to fully understand these theories, we need to know how our hearing works. And to make a long story short, when sound hits our ear, it's traveled into the eardrum, into the middle ear with the bones, and when the sound waves hit the oval window in the cochlea, that is actually filled with fluid. The sound is turned into motion into that fluid. In that fluid, there are 17 to 20,000 hair cells, and each of these hair cells are reacting to different frequencies. So when there comes a sound in a specific frequencies, it starts to move. These signals are turning this movement into electrical signal that is transmitted through the hearing nerve up to our brain, where the brain interprets these electrical signals and turn them into what we feel as sound. And the first theory is about these hair cells. So these hair cells are moving as we hear sound, and each hair cell is detecting a separate frequency. So this one could be 3 kilohertz, for example. And when a hair cell is standing straight up, it doesn't generate any electrical signal to the brain whatsoever. And if it turns this way, it starts generating electrical signal to our brain, or the other way as well. So one theory is that if we get a hearing damage, for example, if we're exposed to loud sounds, these hair cells get damaged. Instead of being straight like this, they can just turn into a mess or just laying down flat. And if these hair cells lay down flat, the idea is that they send electrical signal constantly to our brain. So if this hair cell would be 3 kilohertz, then it would send a 3 kilohertz signal to our brain constantly. And we hear 3 kilohertz constantly. And other theory is quite the opposite. We have these hair cells in the cochlea, and when it gets damaged, the 3 kilohertz hair cell, it stops sending signal. It doesn't send any signal at all to the brain. The hearing system in our brain is super complex and super fascinating because it's constantly calibrating itself to the environment it is. And that's why we're having intelligent hearing, that we can just zoom in on different sounds that we hear. Even if there are many people around us, I can zoom in on a certain person and listen to what that person says and cancel everything else. And the idea here is that if the brain don't get any signals from 3 kilohertz it will start to think, hey, something strange is going on here. I can't hear any 3 kilohertz. So the brain starts to raise the volume for the 3 kilohertz, to amplify it, to listen if there might be some lower sound that I might be able to hear, so I raise the volume a bit. But when the brain raises the volume for 3 kilohertz and still don't hear anything, it raises the volume a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And we all know what happens if we crank up the volume on an amplifier or a mixer. Yeah, if we crank it up loud enough, then we will hear a sound. And the idea is the same. When the brain has turned up the volume from these 3 kilohertz, the damaged frequencies, it will start to generate a tone by itself. And that's the tone that we hear. So the 2 ideas of why we hear tinnitus is basically the first, it happens in the cochlea at the hair cells, or the second, it happens in the brain. And until we know exactly what is going on, then it's quite difficult to do something about it. Should we work on the cochlea or the brain? And of course, the researchers are not totally clueless. It's not like they have no idea what's going on, but there needs to be more research before we can do something about it. But that doesn't mean that we can't do anything about tinnitus. And if you go to a doctor, you might hear that the doctor says, "You have tinnitus. Sorry, there's nothing you can do." But that is not true. There are things that we can do to reduce our tinnitus. And we can do it ourselves. And that is what this channel is going to be about. So even if it feels hopeless, there are things we can do ourselves to reduce our tinnitus. If that is something that interests you, I suggest hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. And I would be super happy if you would like to write something in the comment. What do you think about these theories? What is your experience? I would love to hear your story and your thought about this. So please write in the comments. And do remember, your tinnitus will most likely get better. And a good start to get some tinnitus relief is to just breathe, relax, and stay calm. See you in the next episode. Ciao!